Hello, everyone. How are we doing? I'm doing great. It's so great to be chatting with y'all. I don't know if y'all noticed, but the setup is a little bit more cozy. Don't worry though, the background will definitely get better as time progresses. My room and my apartment right now is just very barren. Regardless, next year and in the future, the room will be better. She'll be a lot cuter, but hello everyone! I hope you guys are doing well because I personally am very, very excited to be filming this video with you guys. First of all, addressing the elephant in the room. Crisp, clean audio. I wanted to also experiment with like the lighting. So I have like my Philips LED bulb shining a blue light, and I have my little cozy light going on so we could have like some, coziness here. Because today's video is going to be a chill, cozy chit chat video, because chatty podcast style commentary videos have been a form of media that I recently have loved consuming. However, personally, in terms of making videos like that, I get very nervous because I have this like anxiety of feeling like I don't have anything interesting to say. And I think it also comes from like this anxiety I built up from editing videos, where I feel like if my videos aren't the most visually engaging, then people won't want to watch them. But I just need to get over that because I personally love consuming this style of content, and literally it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. So yes, this will be a podcast style, super chill, chit chat type of video, and I'm so excited. Okay, lately I've had this like odd anxiety coming in about posting. I don't know why. Something about the upload and post button has been giving me incredible anxiety, and I don't know why. That's another thing that I'm just sharing that I need to get over. Like, I fully need to get over it, but it's something I've been feeling lately. Speaking of feelings, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today in this video. If you read the title of this video, then you will know that I recently went through a breakup. It's actually really interesting to be talking about the breakup in this video because the last time I mentioned it in a video was fully in my spring semester recap, like towards like the very end, and that video was just simply not the time or the place to be talking about a breakup. For context, I was filming like the talking segment of that video literally like the day before I left for my study abroad. And I remember when I like started talking about like the breakup segment, I was being very, very vague. I was just saying I went through a very big life change the spring semester, whatever. I was being very vague because first of all, that video was like definitely not the time or the place that I wanted to talk about the breakup because it was a very big life change, obviously. And it was something that I didn't feel like I would do the topic justice by just devoting a 3-minute segment in like a vlog for the topic. And I wanted to like talk more in depth about the topic, but also more realistically, by the time I was filming that part of the video, it was like almost 2 a.m, the day before I was leaving for my study abroad. At that time, like I guess technically the day of, because it was 2 a.m. And I remember like in that moment, I had to wake up at 6 a.m. the next morning to finish packing and then catch my like 8 a.m. flight to Turks and Caicos. So I was not in the right headspace to be talking about the breakup, and it was just a very chaotic time. So this is basically just like a really long-winded intro into talking about my breakup, and not even going into like the details about my breakup, but just talking about the lessons I learned from it, just getting emotional and chit-chatting about love, life, relationships, all of that fun stuff. So grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, go do some chores, I don't know, put this on when you go for a drive, but get cozy and get comfy because this is gonna be an interesting video. So yes, let's get into it. So before I actually like talk about the nitty-gritty details, I just wanted to give a quick disclaimer. First of all, in this video, I will not be bashing my ex. I will not be airing out our dirty laundry for the internet to witness and see. If you are a close friend of mine, you know what's been going on, but also like that's just not the style of video that I want to be making. I also wanted to make a disclaimer and say that everything that I will be talking about will be from my own personal experience, my own personal feelings. I also just wanted to make a final disclaimer and say that in no way, shape, or form am I claiming to be a relationship expert. I'm not a therapist. I'm literally just a 20-year-old who's going through a breakup. Like, those are my only qualifications when talking about this subject matter. But yes, take all of those disclaimers, okay? With that being said, let's actually finally fucking get into the video, because I've been droning on and on and on for so long. It honestly feels really weird to be talking about my breakup in this stage of post-breakup life that I'm in right now, because I honestly feel like I've experienced a lifetime since the breakup. So I broke up with my ex at the end of April. It's been around 3 months post-breakup, and I feel like this is also a good stage to be talking about post-breakup, because the rose-tinted shades are definitely fully off by now, and I feel like I have a better perspective of post-breakup, but also the relationship as a whole, and I'm in a much better headspace to be talking about it. So yeah, I guess that's also a way to address if I seem very cheery and upbeat. It's fully because I feel like it's been such a long time, even though it's only been 3 months, but at the same time, I also feel like I've experienced so much since the breakup. I wanted to start off the breakup conversation on a positive note and talk about the things I did learn from being in a long-term relationship, because I guess for context, we dated for almost 2 years, so pretty long time, and also it was during college, which are quite formative years of one's life. So with that being said, I learned that relationships are fucking hard. They take a lot of work and effort and time to build up trust. It takes a lot of time to just emotionally work at it and emotionally be there for one another. And before being in this relationship, whenever I would hear people who were married or in long-term relationships talk about how much work relationships are and how being in a marriage is a lot of work, it was really hard to comprehend, because in my mind I was well, you're not physically doing anything. It's not tangible work that you're doing. However, I learned from this relationship that obviously, when you're in a relationship, it's not tangible work you're doing. Rather, it's a lot of emotional work, and it can be really fucking difficult at times. Another thing I learned, especially for myself, those who know me in my personal life will know that I am a very headstrong person, and one of the harder things for me to learn in a relationship were when to swallow my pride and come to a compromise in order to resolve a conflict. Put a pin in the word compromise, because that also becomes a common theme throughout the rest of this discussion, but there were a lot of moments where I had to check myself and check my ego and pride. Not saying that I'm an arrogant person at all. I feel by saying that I come off as arrogant, but as a headstrong person, I realize that I can have moments where I am very it's my way or the highway, and that's not productive. And also, if you're in a relationship, you can't have that mentality. You have to be able to come to certain compromises and work together as a team, which was definitely a big lesson that I learned. The biggest lesson I learned from this relationship and just being in a long-term relationship in general is what I need from a future partner. Obviously, that lesson is not a nuanced conclusion to come to. However, it is something important to me, because now I have new standards to set for myself when I do enter the dating world again, and when I do meet people again. I know now what I what I want, and also now I'm very well aware of behavior and red flags to avoid and what I don't want in relationships. With that, another thing I learned was the importance of having a dynamic relationship, in the sense that both parties are able to grow and mature together. I just felt my emotional growth and maturity was like feeling stunted almost. Like, I guess the best way to describe how I was feeling, like towards the end of my relationship, I was going through a lot of emotional turmoil, trying to come to this decision. And I felt like there was more that I wanted to experience in my life, but my relationship was holding me back. And I couldn't pinpoint what specifically I wanted to experience or anything like that, but I had this like sense of urgency and want and desire for more. Another big conclusion I came to was I was talking to one of my close friends before the breakup happened and like just trying to consult with them, being like, hey, so I think I'm gonna be making this decision, and what do y'all think? Like, am I making a mistake? That was another big thing. I was like convinced that I was like making a huge mistake before the breakup, and so I made it a point to talk to my girlfriends, especially my close friends. Also, side note, I feel like a friendship is real when you guys can be honest with one another, because I remember opening up to my close friends about how I was feeling and about the breakup, and in my mind I was fully expecting them to tell me like, no, you're making a mistake, this is something really good for you, you should suffer through these bad feelings and stick with how you're feeling. But instead they like told me the truth and were like, well, no, if this is something you want to do, then you should do it. But also another big like conclusion that like one of my friends told me when I was talking to them was that, because like, I guess for context, me and my ex had like very opposite personalities, and for the longest time in that relationship I used to talk about how like, oh, he balances me out, he balances my personality out, like we're just so opposite, blah blah blah, and he balances me out. That was the theme. But when I was talking to one of my friends before the breakup, she told me, she was like, Lara, your personality does not need to be balanced out by anyone. If anything, the person you're with shouldn't balance you out or muddle parts of yourself. Rather, it should enhance your personality. And like when two are in like a strong relationship, they enhance one another and like lift each other up, rather than one person being on like a higher wavelength and then another person like being on a lower wavelength and like evening out that. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm like being very abstract with these explanations, but that was like a really big thing, I guess, conclusion I made, where I was like, wait, you're actually so right. I don't need to be balanced out. If anything, I need to find someone who enhances me and enhances my personality, and this isn't it in this relationship. Obviously, like, there are so many different types of relationships, and obviously opposites can attract and opposites can work out. But in my case, me and my ex it was very clear from the beginning, we were very, very opposite people. And honestly, it was pretty fun for like the first few months of our relationship, where I was like, oh my gosh, like it's so quirky that like we have opposite personalities and we're dating, like wow. However, as time passed and as things began to get more serious, it was the fact that we were fundamentally different that was like the root cause of a lot of our problems. Also, another thing I noticed as time passed was that I saw within myself that I was making a lot of compromises and a lot of, honestly, sacrifices for the sake of the relationship. I really noticed that I was losing parts of myself and muddling different parts of my personality in order to stay in something that I was like so convinced was meant for me. It would be so many different compromises that I had to make for myself and that I felt like I was losing for myself, whether it be changing my lifestyle whenever we were together, or holding back from going to social events and being less social, or even like simple things like not eating at certain restaurants because the other was like a picky eater, and having to hold back on certain experiences that I wanted to experience for the sake of comfort for the relationship. It got to a point where I realized that I like just couldn't be making those compromises for myself any longer. Not only that I didn't want to be making these compromises for myself, but I also wanted to experience certain things in a relationship that I couldn't experience in the relationship that I was in. I wanted to transition into the next part of this conversation, which is talking about the fact that breakups are fucking hard. And yet they're also like such a universal experience. Like everyone goes through a breakup at some point in their life, whether it's a romantic breakup like this one or whether it's a friendship breakup, which that can be a whole nother conversation in and of itself. In my experience, I remember feeling like awful for like the last month of the relationship because it was when I was coming to those conclusions about the relationship and about myself and what I wanted for the future, and like trying to balance all of this like emotional turmoil during a time of school that was like really fucking stressful. So like, funny story, I remember during this time like where I reached my like breaking point pre-breakup. It was like after my frats away weekend, which I remember like the weekend itself was really stressful, and I remember like that following week of school was so rough. I remember one day I had an ecology exam and a 15-minute Spanish presentation to give in my classes like the next day. So the day before, I'm like stressed the fuck out. So I like skipped all of my classes that day just so I had enough time to like study for the exam and prepare for the presentation. I was just freaking out and very stressed out about that. And I literally remember I couldn't focus on my work because of this like emotional turmoil in my mind. And I remember literally sitting in the library trying so hard to focus, but like those like thoughts were still like bubbling up and like building up in my mind until like I like said to myself like, oh my gosh, I need to break up. I need to break up. And then like when that seed was planted, it just was like emotional turmoil for like the rest of the day. Not me getting emo in the school library. Like that's so embarrassing. But also at the same time, I'm literally just a girl. That's also been like my phrase of the summer. But like at the same time, like I feel like it's so universal. Like I am just a girl. Like we have all been there on the verge of tears, cannot focus on our work in the library while everyone else is around us. Like it's embarrassing, but it's a canon event. So like for me, with this most recent breakup, the difficult part wasn't the aftermath of it, but it was the before and the brewing of the thoughts and like really coming to that conclusion. And then like once I came to that conclusion, it really like stuck with me, and like understanding like the ramifications of my actions and like really second guessing within myself if this was the right decision to make. It was an emotional time. It was a lot. I wanted to talk about the two things that were weighing on my mind the most, and like the two things about the breakup that just like really sucked and made coming to the decision really scary. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was, I know I spent a lot of time talking about how I was making compromises for myself, and like being in the relationship, I felt like I lost myself for a little bit, right? And like those aren't good things to experience. However, with that being said, I was really scared of losing a sense of stability that came with my relationship, especially because I'll be experiencing a lot of life changes really soon. I'm gonna be a senior in college this year, which is really fucking weird to think about. I know that I'll be going through a lot of really big life changes, and those big changes are scary because I don't know what the future has in store for me, and there's a lot of uncertainty with the future. That's how life goes. Like, big decisions are scary and they're terrifying, and that's totally fine. But the thing that scared me the most about the breakup and stressed me out a lot was I realized like I'm gonna be entering a new era of my life very soon, and I will be experiencing a lot of big changes very soon. At least I have this relationship as a sense of stability and something that is constant in my life. In that moment, that is how I felt. Obviously, relationships change, and you never know what the future has in store. Clearly, I'm devoting a whole video to a breakup, right? But I didn't want to lose that sense of comfort and stability before a very big period of my life. Also, like on a side note, the thought of being single in college terrifies me like a little bit because of like how long our relationship was, and because of like how COVID messed up the timing of when I got to experience like normal college stuff. I hadn't experienced, I guess, quote unquote normal college life single, like ever. So the thought of being single in college, I found kind of terrifying because what the fuck? If any of you guys are watching out there and y'all are in college, y'all know how college guys are. Like, they're just... I'm also aware that I'm in like my man-hating era right now, which I sound like such Gen Z by saying like, I'm in my man-hating era, I'm in my this era, I'm in my that era. Like, I get it, but like anything that a guy does, I will be able to find an ick in it. And like, even now with that mindset, I'm like, how am I supposed to date in college? Like, how am I gonna do it? That terrifies me. But also, it's like kind of an experience that I'm excited to have. But in the moment, 3 months ago, before I made this decision, losing that sense of comfort and that stability was absolutely fucking terrifying. And I know it's a very common thing for a lot of people to just stay in bad situations and bad relationships because they are comforting and they are stable and there's something that's constant. Even though I was really terrified of the unknown, and I still am, don't get me wrong, I'm really happy that I came to this decision. Now, in the future Lara, I'm really excited to be entering this new era, this new chapter of my life completely on my own. And I fully said that in like my spring semester recap video, and I like fully meant it. If you're out there thinking about making a certain decision in your life, and it's a scary one, this is your sign to do it. I promise you, if your feelings are strong enough and you have good enough reason to make that decision, then at the end of the day, it's the right decision to make, and you can't be doing yourself a disservice by holding yourself back. Sometimes I feel like we can also use that sense of stability and that like whatever thing in your life of comfort as like a crutch and like as something to hold you back from something greater for yourself. But the second thing that like really made the decision to break up with my ex very difficult and something that like weighed on my mind a lot was, it's actually so silly. It was something I mentioned in like a glow up video I made my freshman year of college, which looking back, I was like a completely different person in that video. But like, I remember having like a little reflective portion about the problems with like over romanticizing your future. And in that context, I was talking about getting stressed out about how COVID completely wrecked my senior year of high school and like my freshman college experience, and how it really affected my mental health because I set up all of these expectations for my future that were just like completely shattered because of a global pandemic. And relating that back to like the idea of a breakup in this relationship, at least for me, I felt this way because it was my first ever long-term relationship. I was honestly really convinced that, I can't believe I'm saying this on the internet, but I was really convinced that I was gonna marry this guy. Like, I was convinced. And looking back, I know that sounds crazy. I know. I understand. But hear me out. Like, I was young. I still am very young. I had a lot of emotional development that needed to get done. And again, it was my first ever long-term relationship. Also, sidetrack, I'm not even gonna lie, I freaking love weddings. I'm such a hopeless romantic. I'm gonna be honest and straight up, I really can't wait to get married. I love the idea of getting married. So in my mind, while in this relationship, I really had a set idea for the future for myself. So when I was considering and contemplating this breakup, I had to come to terms with the fact that, again, something that I had wanted and something that I had envisioned so fiercely for myself in the future wasn't actually something that was gonna happen if I made said decision. You know what I'm saying? And then again, that fear of like coming to terms with that thought mixed in with like the whole fear of like dating and finding another partner, obviously like not in the direct future, but like still, it's really rough out here in the streets. The streets are cold, they're rough. So like the thought of like having to find someone else, all of those just formed like a very terrible combination in my mind and just like caused a lot of mental turmoil and made the decision a very difficult decision to make. But again, it was an important decision to make, and it's another important life lesson where, you know, there is a danger that comes with over romanticizing your future, and not even like over like Yes, I still romanticize the future all the time, but like setting such rigid expectations for your future, because like at the end of the day, we really don't know what's going to happen in the future, and like, you know, we can only hope. So for me, setting such firm expectations for the future, and then when they don't work out, it just caused a lot of mental turmoil, and then that just was not a fun combination at all. Final topic of discussion I did want to talk about in this video was post-breakup life. How has it been? What have I been up to? How I'm doing mentally now. And okay, I'm not gonna lie, I just want to say one more time, because I said it before, I am just a girl. We're all just girls. I did definitely go like a little bit crazy like in the weeks like directly after the breakup. Like those last few weeks were very chaotic and very wild, because one, I had 2 weeks left of school, so I was like very overwhelmed with finals, very overwhelmed with like exams and shit like that. But like it was the first time in like my social life in college that I was single, and it was wild. I had a lot of moments where I just have to sit back and say I am just a girl. But also from those initial 2 weeks after breaking up, I feel like I did like the most amount of emotional growth on my end, because it was apparent that I did not have that sense of comfort anymore. It was obvious. And it was definitely a huge adjustment that I had to make, but we made said adjustment, and now I feel great. I have a new nighttime routine. I love watching my little show while I do my nighttime routine. It keeps me a little company. So obviously, like the process of coming to terms with the fact that I was single after having not been single in a very, very long time, that was an experience in and of itself. It took work to come to that conclusion. It was also an experience to relearn how to enjoy my own company again, and like enjoy being single again. And that is still something I'm working on even now. But like, it's not even hard, because I've just consumed myself in hobbies and activities that I personally love doing. And I've been, quite honestly, living very selfishly. I've definitely been the most social after the breakup than I have been in a very long time. And not even like social in a way of like, yeah, going to ragers every single day and partying all the time. Not even like that. Like reconnecting with friends who I hadn't seen in a really long time, or experiencing new things with close friends. And honestly, this has been, especially post-breakup, it's been a time for the girlies. Like I've really been spending and enjoying a lot of time with a lot of my like close friends, and I've really like taken time to like nourish those important friendships in my life. And that was also something I talked about in my spring semester recap video, but it's become something that I've like taken great enjoyment out of. And there will be so many times where I will hang out with some friends and I will feel so much more fulfilled after like said experience, and also like connecting that with just like spending time with my family too. But also it's been so much fun like getting back into my creative hobbies, so that's been incredible. Another big thing that I experienced post breakup has been my freaking study abroad. Holy crap, that experience was so amazing, and I truly feel like so blessed to have experienced that. I honestly feel really happy that I was able to go into study abroad single and like completely on my own terms, because like while I was there, it felt like I was able to be more present while I was in Turks and Caicos, and it felt like I was really able to like immerse myself in life there a lot more, because I had nothing really like weighing me down or holding me back here in the US. I'm really excited to be starting this new chapter of my life like completely on my own terms. That's been a common theme that I keep repeating, but like it's honestly so true. We love to see girlies who grow emotionally. It's getting very late and I kind of want to go to bed. But I really, like truly, I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. I'm going to push myself with editing Lara to not cut down a lot of what I say and keep the conversation going as smoothly as possible. I personally had so much fun filming this. I really like the cozy setup I have going, and it's definitely going to get better in the future. Like, the cozy setup will get better. I really hope you guys enjoyed this like different style of video. I hope y'all were able to take something away from it, whether it be to laugh at how often I repeat things when I talk, or I don't even know. Like, if you're also going through a difficult time, just know things get so much better and things work out. But yes, thank you all so much for watching. If you made it this far into the video, you get a kiss from me. Mwah. I really appreciate that, truly. And yes, thank you all so much for watching. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe. Oh my God, I need to bring this back. I need to be more consistent with saying this. Subscribe if you liked this video. If you liked this video, or if you just like my personality. Yes, if you know someone who is going through something similar, send this video to them. Share it. And yes, I will stop blabbering, and let y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all so much for watching, truly, and I hope you go out there, have fun, enjoy life, carpe diem. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see y'all in the next video. Mwah. Bye bye.